double check. This is why I'm big bro. This is exactly why I'm big bro. I don't know. I don't think you've listened to any of the episodes as of yet, which is fine. But I don't really do an introduction. I typically just start off with like letting people know where I know my guests from, which obviously we have a mutual friend. Shout out to Gels. What is this? Like, you know what's crazy? Because I was talking to my therapist earlier, and she was asking me about the show and like what I'm doing today. And so I'm telling her that I'm going to record. I was like, yeah, I'm recording with my friend. I've known her since she was like 18, and it kind of just hit me like it's almost been 10 years, which is kind of crazy.
This month.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. Which goes to show like how much like time is like this crazy sort of concept because it just can vanish without you even thinking about it. Like it was only yesterday that I was bothering you and putting you in your place, and now you grown ass person.
I know. I gotta
Nuts,
go.
nuts. But anyways, let's start this obviously from Yonkers. So please, by all means, I don't think I've ever been to Yonkers. Maybe once or twice. I can't really remember, but I haven't really been to Yonkers. So please tell me about like growing up in Yonkers, and as you know, New Yorkers, we all are well aware of like so many different musical acts that have come out of that area, which is crazy because when people think of New York, you think of Brooklyn, you think of Queens, Staten Island, Harlem, whatever. But like Yonkers is like its own hub as well of like talented people that have been able to make a name for themselves. So talk a little bit about Yonkers and then that like kind of cultural impact that area has had.
So, growing up here, I was born and raised here, obviously. Um, it's always been cool. I mean, everybody seems to know each other, although it's a big city.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is like somehow connected. But I will say, you could live right next to somebody and you will never see them.
Interesting.
Literally, that's how big it is. But of course, we have the kisses, Styles P, the lot, period.
Right.
We
Mary
got
J.
Rough Riders DMX,
Mary J.
Mary
Blige.
J, yeah. Actually, down the street from where I stayed, is where she's from.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Oh, I just found out Ice Spice went to my high school. I went to
Oh.
private Catholic school, and apparently she went there, but I didn't know her. I'm older, so.
So did you ever feel like I don't
Oh
know?
wait, hold on. I'm so sorry to cut you off. And also J1, Kiss the Sun. He's
Oh,
on a rise right now. He's lit.
yes, yes, yes. So with growing up in Yonkers, did you ever feel like the kind of I don't know, I don't want to call it like the pulse, but did you ever feel like some of these acts and how they like impact the area? So like I remember God rest his soul, but like Pop Smoke, if you was anywhere in Brooklyn, dudes was playing Pop Smoke music. Like you knew he had that sort of impact. So I'm assuming it was kind of the same thing with those acts as
Oh, for
well.
sure. As soon as it get hot out here, the people is just blasting a lot, things over that. So
That's what's
every
up.
year.
That's what's up. So the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, obviously, of course, we've been friends, known you for a long period of time, but also, you have had numerous events to happen in your life as well, and I always commend you for that. I always commend you as an individual because a lot of things that you've dealt with maybe people may experience one of those things or two of those things, but you've experienced like multiple things in such a short period of time. So like for a lot of people in their 20s, that's their college years, that's the years that they outside, they're enjoying themselves, learning about themselves. But for you, although you were able to like enjoy yourself into a certain extent, you also had like these really big pivotal things to also happen to that would shake up anybody's life. But it kind of almost, I don't want to say one after another, but for
Basically,
yeah, basically it has been like one after another. And for a lot of people, they will kind of like crumble or turn to certain vices, but you've always been someone who has been able to, overcome certain odds and overcome certain experiences, and still, try to maintain a healthy life, or just, live with some level of joy. So I wanted to kind of dive into some of those things. Shout out to Carla, your mother, your mother. But and obviously you could tell me at this time, because my memory is not great at all. But your mother was diagnosed with cancer at
Yes.
one point. So tell me about learning about the diagnosis, like how it impacted not only her life but your life as well, as her only child.
So my mom was diagnosed in the spring of 2020 during a pandemic.
Yeah, crazy.
Um, Basically, it was just crazy. Like you said, I'm my only child, and everybody knows. Anybody that knows me and my mom are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, the last time I was in your last caller that you had, um, my mom came to me and everything, but it was hard to say the least. I had my ups and my downs with it. I didn't really have to deal with it that much because I didn't live with my mom at the time. I lived with my man. And I mean, it was difficult to see my mom lose her hair, and,
Mm-hmm.
the emotional stuff that comes with it because my mom went through chemo and radiation. I had started in my field. I'm in the dental field now, and I was unable to go to any like appointments or anything with her. I could only just hear stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I tried to be there for my mom as much as I could. I would come here to check on her, my grandmother, at least like 3, 4 times a week after work, see if they needed me to do anything, Just try to lift my mom's spirits. Anything else she wanted me to do with her, I tried to do if I could do it. And yeah. And then in the winter of 2022, she got into remission. My mom is doing a lot better now, thank God. But it's a scary thing. Like, you never know what's gonna happen. I'll be honest with you, I had my moments where I broke down to my man plenty of times, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, God forbid anything happens to my mom. My mom has other, how do I say it? My mom has been kind of sickly like the last several years, had heart attacks, like a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just, it was scary.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember do you remember the specific do you remember that day when she finally told you? Like, I know, like, with other stuff in people's lives, or even if it's not necessarily related to you, like, there's certain events that may happen in pop culture or whatever the case is like, I know where I was at when this happened. So do you recall that? Like, do you remember that phone call, or whether she told you in person? Like, do you know where you were at that time?
I don't remember who I was. I
Mm-hmm.
know it was definitely a phone call. And I just was shocked. I definitely was not at all expecting her to say anything like that to me. This is my mom who takes care of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was tough.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about, like, the emotional impact, because I think we all, as human beings, like, we love our family, we love our parents, but we don't necessarily think about the mortality of who they are until they reach certain ages. Like, we all think, like,
My
our
parents
parents
gonna
gotta
live
live, yeah, like, our parents gotta live to forever, like, we ain't gotta worry about it. But then, even for myself, like, there's been plenty of times where I could easily just stay home or make plans with other friends or whoever. I'm like, nah, I gotta go back to my parents' crib, I gotta see my parents, because who knows how many more chances I have to do that. So talk a little bit about, like, the emotional impact of getting that sort of news, of the fear, the grief, the uncertainty, because especially when you're talking about black and brown people, like, cancer is, you know that's one of the biggest killers in America or the world in general. So talk a little bit about, like, the emotional impact it may have had on you.
It was extremely emotional. Like I said, super tough. I felt like, I'm the only child. I'm the only one that anything falls on. Like, if anything happens to my mom, who can help me take care of my grandmother? Like, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was scared. I was terrified. I had moments where I would really break down. I would feel depressed. But I had the support. Luckily, I know everybody is not that lucky.
Right. Which is perfect because that was the next thing I was going to ask was like, what were the kind of support systems that you had? Like, did you have friends who played a certain role? Were there certain family members? Sometimes even depending on, how passionate they are about their field, you have certain healthcare professionals who get really, committed to trying to help a family go through that time. So talk a little bit about any support system you had and whether they helped you with some sort of like coping strategies through that process.
So I will say that my biggest support was my man. He supported the most. He was always there, the listening ear, always put up my crap when I would get crazy and everything. And then my friends definitely helped and were there for me, and my mom. And my mom is always there for everybody. So if my mom needed anything, everybody was, extending their hand. My family, I don't know. That's a question you would have to get Carla on. I don't know. No shade, because I don't, I know how you live in Tuscany. But yeah.
Okay, okay. And then I'm glad that she's in much better spirits. I'm glad that.
Let me tell you something. My mom was like the song, "You Won't Break This Song." That's what she gave. Like,
Hmm.
even though, like, now I'm older, I've been through a lot of things in my life, and I know that she must have felt so alone. It doesn't matter who was supporting her.
Hmm.
When you have something like that you're dealing with, it's not really much anybody, you know what I'm saying, like, can do for you.
Hmm.
Truly. It's like a mental battle, really. And she was good spirit. She didn't let this bring her down at all.
Yeah, and I mean, that just goes to show what kind of character she has as an individual. Like, I couldn't imagine going through that personally, and then also like, even though it's something that she's battling with, like she's aware, like she has her mother, she has you, so she knows like the kind of burden, not necessarily a burden, but she knows like how much that impacts her loved ones around her. So to have not only family or friends or whoever to try to support you is like you also maintaining that level of calm and trying to, just take it one day at a time. That just kind of shows the kind of individual she is, which kind of makes sense because based on how I view you. So it's like you're an embodiment of her. So that's probably one of many traits that she's passed down onto you and you haven't even realized it, whether consciously or subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad that she's, in better spirits. I'm sure she'll be paying attention and listening to this episode or watching
Me
it.
too.
So by all means, I send my love to Carla, uh, even though she never texts me. Wait, I don't even know if she got my number.
I don't think so.
See, yeah, both of y'all are slacking. Both of y'all are slacking. But you brought one of the more important people up that helped you throughout your process. Your partner at the time, God rest his soul, Kiki, and that was also something that transpired that had a profound impact on you. He was unfortunately. I'm trying to find like the proper verbiage. Like this, I know I'm probably rambling, but like when people die, I try not to, for whatever reason, I don't know when this started for me. Like I try not to use the word death. I don't know. I feel like it has like this negative sort of connotation. So anytime I speak of people who like die or whatever or pass away, I try to say just transition. And I don't know why I'm like that. But speaking of Kiki, he unfortunately was slain. What year was this? We're going on
22.
22. So
Actually, a week after my mom got into remission, he passed away.
yeah. So it's almost been almost going on 2 years.
No,
Uh,
it'd be 2 years, 2 months ago.
so it's over 2 years, and I remember because I was aware of and then kind of jumping all over the place, but we had our group chat and we would talk about the things that we are indulging in or the people that we're experiencing in our life. So I'm aware of like some of your interactions with other men previously to him, but when Kiki was around, that was a different Yaz. Like,
For sure.
yeah, like I used to call you a hot. You probably still are a hothead, but
Isn't it like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been trying to calm you down for like 10 years. I don't know if it was working, but I've been trying to calm you down. But when Kiki was in your life, I definitely noticed a change. You were always positive. You was always so joyful. You would speak about him all the time. It's like, Steven, you got to meet him. I need you to meet him. You need to meet him. He's so great. And I remember those times. So I remember when I think I saw you posted it on Instagram, and I don't think we've ever discussed this. I was just immediately confused. I don't know if I was working. I probably was working, or maybe it was a day off. I don't remember. But I saw it on Instagram, and I was confused. And immediately in my head, it's like, okay, if this is real, you're not picking up your phone, you're not responding to nobody. So I think I either text, yeah, I think I text Jalissa, and I was like, yo, did you see this post? And I think she just woke up. So she hadn't seen it yet. And we both were just in complete shock of what happened. And then eventually you and I spoke, and you let me know what happened. Or I think Gels got the details for me, because I knew it was like a sensitive time for you. So I didn't want to like bombard you, because I'm sure, you're engaging with your mother, other family members, or whoever. So I think Gels the one who told me all the details, and I was just like in complete shock, and especially based on what she told me happened, and we don't have to revisit that. But yeah, so speak about, like, first I want to start on a more positive note. Speak about your previous experiences with and not in detail about other men, but previous relationships. But then it's like now you're now in this healthy relationship with this guy who clearly loves you, who's clearly being supportive and is trying to pour love into you. So speak about that transition first, and like that foundation that y'all built.
So we were friends, of course, you know that. I would hang out with Kiki literally every day, every single day. Before work, after work, be on the phone with him. If you seen Kiki, you saw me. He literally from the beginning got to know me, got to know what I liked, what I disliked, my interests, how I felt about my family and my friends, and like everything. Like most of the time, dudes in my generation, they're not really worried about that.
Right.
You know, so to me, that was like different,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least. I was used to, I done been domestically abused. I done been anything you could think of, it happened to me.
Right.
So as far as like the relationship, and when I tell you night and day, night and day. I never had to worry about him cheating on me or anything. Like he was my friend, my brother, my protector, my man, everything, all in one. Um, even till the day he like I'm not even gonna sit here and cap if we wasn't perfect, you know. Nobody's perfect. People argue, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Me and him butt heads like that sometimes. But even like I said, till he passed away, we literally had that bond that we could sit in each other's company and have the best time, just me and him, laughing, joking, even having serious conversations. Like he was one of the first people that like I could sit there and have like a real intellectual conversation with, debate. He loves to debate. He will argue down about anything. Um, you know, it's just like it was more. I learned being with him that it was more for a relationship and having sex, going on dates, whatever, whatever. That man changed me,
Mm-hmm.
and so many people commend me and thank me for changing him and making him grow into the man that he was when he passed away. Like, and that is something that I'm forever grateful for. He gave me so many experiences. I have so many memories. I did a whole bunch of stuff that I would have probably never done in my life if I never met him.
Mm-hmm.
He made me comfortable. He made me want to live, you know? So it sucks. It's really tough. Like even now, 2 years later, I still miss him like it's the first day.
Hmm.
That was my person. And like some people, they'll never experience that. And I feel like for me, that's the biggest blessing in the whole situation. I had somebody that supported me, loved me, supported my mom, supported my family, just made life easier for me, period. I I was totally put on a pedestal and I met him in like a time when I was in a really, really dark space.
Hmm.
And he took me out of that. He talked life into me, told me never to settle. Like now, for whoever comes in my future, I know that I could be treated right, I could be loved, and that I deserve that, and nothing less. So, with that being said, like anybody that comes my way,
Yeah, they got a certain
you
standard they
gotta
gotta
come
meet.
on, you gotta step to back, because
Right,
I had a real man.
right. Yeah, yeah, we've had our conversations, and it's like I couldn't imagine experiencing something like that, especially with some of the details that I'm aware of and how everything went down and who was responsible and different things like that. So I'm well aware of like how much of not only of a positive impact that he had on you, but the impact of his unfortunate passing had on you as well. So you touch upon like the emotional impact, and I'm sure in that situation, it's initial shock because nobody wants to, you like I was saying earlier, you never know what may happen to your loved ones. So for something like that, nobody ever thinks like, unless you're dealing with someone who's really submerged into certain things, like you don't ever think like something will happen to uh
For me, it was even more crazier because I spoke to him 2 hours
mm,
before I was on my way home. So I'm calling him down. And normally, when he wouldn't answer the phone, he would call me right back or text me like, "Babe, I'm on the phone," whatever. And normally, if he didn't do that, I would get pissed off, like and I'd be texting down like, "What are you doing?" Like, you know what I'm saying?
right.
It was none of that. I don't know why in my spirit that day I just kind of like brushed it off, and then it was that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Cause as you're saying it, I'm just like reliving the details that you shared with me and like our conversations, and yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody to kind of go through and experience. But I know in our conversations at that time, he was trying to make sense of things, and I'm not a therapist or a life coach. I mean, I'm trying to be a life coach, but I'm not a therapist by any means. And so it's like I'm trying the best to like help you try to assess a situation, but my words don't really mean anything. Like my whatever I'm saying, like yeah, it may sound good, it may sound right, but what you're experiencing, what you're feeling emotionally, is something that nobody can tell you,
Nobody can
to
give you any kind of help. Like
yeah,
all
there's
my
no
friends
help. So yeah,
about the mental state when you're going through like something like cancer or whatever, it's the same thing. People could tell you, oh, first of all, I'm telling you this right now, and this is no shame to anybody, because even after this has happened, it's like you still have to give your condolences and all that. But nobody wants to hear they're in a better place.
right,
Listen, like nobody wants to hear that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's like something so tragic
correct.
and unexpected. I was so angry. Like I'm still a little like short fused, like
Hmm.
easily irritated by stupid stuff, like really stupid stuff. Um, but then I'm talking about like once I started like the first 2 months, I wasn't really talking to nobody. I wasn't really answering my phone. I didn't when I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. I literally was just smoking my life away.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, getting slayed, getting this big. Okay, and it wasn't until like I want to say I stayed out the way, like far upstate. with my best friend. It wasn't until I came back like 2 months later that like for me it was like I'm geeking on the internet. If you didn't check on me, don't look for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everybody is not the same. The same way
Hmm.
I could carry something or whatever. I'm sure like now that I'm a little bit more out of the situation, I could see that some people just really didn't know what the fuck to say to me. Like, it's unfortunate, like
Right.
on my behalf, because I really was feeling some kind of way. But at the end of the day, why is that a reason to have like malice or any hate on my heart? Because you didn't say something to me when really whatever you say ain't gonna matter anyway.
Right. And it's probably something that you heard before. Like, there's only so
40
many.
times.
Right. There's only so many things that you can say. Because, yeah, there was definitely points when we would speak on the phone. And it's like, I don't even say anything. I'm just letting you vent and get whatever thoughts or emotions off because that's probably the most constructive thing for you to do at that time because there's nothing I can do to help you. I've shared, whatever sort of wisdom that I could bestow upon you at that time, but it's like it's not something I've personally experienced. So I don't have any sort of knowledge or sort of expertise. And even if I did go through something similar, like it don't change the hard facts that the person that you care for and you love is like they're not returning. Like whatever well wishes or condolences or whatever anybody could say, like yes, they mean well, but the thing that you truly want and need is not something you could reverse. Like that's you got to deal with the hard facts. Which kind of I won't mention her name. I'll tell you offline, but you know who this person is. But there's a friend of mine who we were supposed to hang out, and she kind of like did a no call no show, and I'm pissed at the time because I'm like, yo, like we made plans, you ain't show up, what yada yada. So we ain't speak for like a couple weeks, and then out the blue, she posts that her mother unfortunately transitioned, and so I feel bad at the time. But then we recently spoke, and like I'm telling her some of the similar things, and I'm sure she is also sharing some of the similar sentiments you had at that time of like kind of being in and out of like not consciousness, but essentially consciousness of like I'm here, but I'm not here. But
You
then there's
feel like you're floating.
right,
That's the best way I can explain it. Outer body experience. I was in that state for at least 6 months.
right, yeah. So she was telling me that and telling me like the wave of emotions and things of that nature, and I'm telling her like I get that. Feel your emotions. Feel whatever it is that you feel because this is what grief is. There's not necessarily a healing process when it comes to this. It's at some point you realize this is reality now. Like this is your new normal. There's no healing. There's no anything you could repair certain situations because those are hard facts that are irreversible. So you kind of just have to reach this point where it's like, okay, this is where my life is now. It may take weeks, it may take months. Some cases it may take years, but you just kind of have to just accept whatever it is and then just rely on, when this person does pop into my head because you still have to live your life, you still have responsibilities, still have stuff to do. It's like when this person pops into my head, I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to focus on the good memories because I could take those with me till I expire. Like those are the things that I'm going to focus my energy on versus, this emptiness or the anger or whatever it is that I may have at that time. And then for her case, I had told her of like, even though your mom's not here, like she still is here because you're a living embodiment of her existence. Like all the love, all the work that she poured into you, like you're a representation of that. And then the same could go for you because even though well, not even though, but like as you mentioned, there's so many things that you have become as a young woman that's due to him. So even though he's not here in the physical, you're still a living embodiment of the love that he poured into you.
I feel like that is the hardest and like gut wrenching part of it all. And I'm sure your friend could relate to that, especially with her mom. Like, I didn't always have the best relationship with my father. Actually, my man is the one that like pushed me to make things right with my father and everything. Like now, me and my man is good. That's my man's done it. But my mom made me the woman I am, of course. But it's certain things that you cannot get from your parent,
Correct.
respectfully. And I didn't really have like I have a whole bunch of uncles, but everybody got their own kids, they own like whatever. I didn't really have that like dominant, strong male figure in my life
Mm-hmm.
every day, like how I had from the moment I met him to his last day. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like even the things that he died like not liking about me and wanting me to pour into myself. You know what I'm saying? Those are all things that I have turned around like 360.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it sucks to know that I'm all the woman that he wanted me to be now, and he's not here. Like I know he sees it. I'm very much more like a spiritual person now, but does he really? Like it's not that does he? He can't really tell me anything. He can't physically tell me I'm proud of you. I see you. Like you know what I'm saying? I see you.
Mm-hmm.
And as humans, we want that gratification from the people we, you know what I'm saying,
Correct.
love. So that for me is like that gets me all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because it's like I've only reached this certain status or made these changes in my life because of you, and so I want, it's kind of like with any sort of relationship. It's the same thing with relationship with parents of like, I did this or I'm trying to reach this sort of status to make you proud to, so that like whatever love or hard work or the things you said didn't go unnoticed. I may not have listened at that time or I may be on some different shit at that time, but eventually I got there. So I can imagine how difficult
And it
that is.
sucks because it's like I think a lot because you know how stubborn I am. But I genuinely believe, like, not saying that all things, but I feel like a lot of things I probably would still be getting on his nerves about if he never, I'm saying it's so unfortunate. I'm sorry, I'm on your pod crying, right?
This is what you signed up for. I didn't know. I ain't know. I ain't know. I didn't know it was gonna get this deep and serious because I feel like we've had these talks, but at the same time, it makes sense because this is genuine. This is a genuine human reaction when you have these sorts of bonds and that sort of connection with people is going to create some sort of human reaction. I'm sure when, you know, unfortunately, when either of my parents or even like sometimes now and I've mentioned this on the pod before. I don't think I've even told you this before because we don't talk as much as we used to. We got to work on that. That's your fault. That's all your fault. Um,
I'll take, I'll take that.
okay, it's fine. I wasn't gonna take it anyway. But like I mentioned on the pod before, of like my grandmother's has had dementia for like a couple of years now. So sometimes like I'm typically the type of person like I'll speak to my parents like maybe once a week or so. So sometimes, like when I get a phone call and I've already spoken to them for like the week, I'm thinking like, is this the time? Like, is this the call? So I can imagine, um, the kind of emotional state that you'll always constantly be in whenever he's a topic of discussion, or even if you just randomly have a memory and it's like, damn, I only had this experience because of you, or I remember this because of you, or this is the only time that I did this and it was with you. So that's never gonna go anywhere.
I know, and like truthfully, I know that he impacted my life so much that if and when I ever do have kids, I move on, whatever, my kids will know who that man was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got him tatted on me. You know what I'm saying? This is for life. That's my and this life and
So didn't definitely didn't mean to make you cry all this much. I you know what's funny? I had no idea how this was gonna go because
I know we talk about
yeah, we talk about this all like we talk about a bunch of stuff, but I was like, we didn't even talk like how's this really gonna go? Like, are you gonna get? It didn't even cross my mind. Like, are you gonna get
I
emotional?
cried. I have had therapy since the week after my man passed away. Every single session, this is me, if not worse.
Good to know. Good to know. But crying is good. Crying is good. It
Some people are not good with like speaking because I speak in detail. I'm I'm good with that, but I know that I'm gonna always be like this. Period.
which completely makes sense. But we're not getting into too much detail. Eventually, with his passing, that's where, yes, you had the tragic event, then you have some form of like healing, or time passes, but you hope in certain cases that justice eventually is the next step that follows suit. So talk a little bit about some of the challenges or frustrations you experienced at that time, because I can imagine, okay, it happened. Then, you take your time to, try to heal, try to develop, move forward in life. And then it kind of, okay, they found the person. It's now for the justice system to play their part, but you're like reliving these things. You're having to go to court. They're talking about certain things in detail. So it's making you, putting you in that space all over again.
You in the moment.
Right, literally right in the moment. And when you go through certain like very traumatic things, it's as if like it's almost as if you have a 4 HD picture by picture frame in your head of like, I know what my how the I know how the sofa was arranged that day. I know where the pillows was at that day. I know how many petals was on that plant in the corner. Like, talk a little bit about some of the challenges or frustrations going through that process.
So it was really, really, really hard. So unfortunately, the person who took my man's life was someone that was in his family, not by blood,
Mm-hmm.
but their families were very close. They might as well have been blood the way that my man treated this person and his family. Um, so for me, it was hard because it was somebody that I knew
Mm-hmm.
well. I had to see them all the time. Then it was like, because it's so close to home, it was a lot of politics that went into this whole situation on the outside. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, how other
Right.
people on the outside looking at you. So, with that being said, you know, when people pass away, people act crazy,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least. So, I had a bunch of people coming at me, talking about me, and just saying a lot of false lies. Like, look
Mm-hmm.
at me, lies, and I couldn't say anything because I couldn't jeopardize the case at all in any kind of way because, yet again, the families are intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
So that was hard. Then I was, like you said, hearing stuff in court for the first time. Then you have to imagine this. Imagine somebody that your man was good to, that you were good to, that you never even cared for, but you were still good to for the strength of your partner. And they're in court gritting at you like you did something. Like they want to fuck you up through the handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, it's like a mind fuck. Excuse my expression. But it's like, how dare you? Then I also found out this PON had a baby during all of this. While
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing and everything was going on, I found that in court because I seen a baby. And me and my man were trying to start a family, and he knew that. That was hard. I think I was in a damn Tyler Perry movie or some shit. Like everything throughout that whole process for a year and a half, literally like how I explained that floating feeling, you just feel like you're just there. Not even existing. You're just there. But I'm so grateful. I had like a really, really, really good, diligent team as far as the lawyer, the detectives. Like if it really wasn't for them, God knows. Like I seen the dedication. They never stopped checking for me. They never left me in the dark about anything. If it was something that they could tell me, they told me. But obviously certain things I'm not allowed to know until we're in court.
Right.
But I know that everybody's not that lucky. I know that some people are waiting 5, 6 years for a trial, or this and that, and it only took me a year and a half. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a blessing. It's a blessing that these people heard from, witnesses and stuff, the kind of person, kind of spirit my man had. And I feel like that even fueled even more to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, put in that extra work.
Mm-hmm.
I will forever be grateful for that. Granted, on the other end of things, when you get that justice,
It doesn't.
it's so underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody tells you that part. Like,
Mm.
the moment it happens in court, it feels like almost like it's a very, when I tell you it's one of the most emotional feelings that I felt, aside from obviously the situation happening. I cried so bad. We were all crying so bad. Me and his whole family, my family, like, you know what I'm saying? And it feels good. You feel like, yeah, we got mother effort. But on the other side of things, it's like,
It's
he
not
already was
enough.
nothing in this world. Yeah, he was already nothing in this world. We lost something big. But I'm trying to say to this world, a good spirit that brought goodness into this world. It don't matter if that boy was to die, if he spent 100 million years, his whole rest of his life, whatever, in jail. It doesn't equate to the loss that everybody took. Because not even just for me. When I tell you that, when I was talking about how he attracted me at being my friend and caring and everything, I watched how he treated people too.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing that attracted me. This is the type of person I'm talking about will give you the clothes off of his back. Literally. I done seen him make so many people's day. And the amount of people that were hurt and are still hurt over this, ridiculous. And then it's just like F the fact that I can't, like, what is the word, like he had the baby and everything, and I saw and I found out it or whatever. F the part of me wanting to have a kid of my own. My man has a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You took this man away from his child,
Right.
and he knew how much his daughter meant to him. So to me, it's like the nerve, the audacity, the gall of you. That was a really, 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 really hard time. Like I said, mentally, physically, emotionally. Like I said, I had to first of all be on my P's and Q's. I didn't know who to trust, so I stayed completely out the way, literally. Then we have to also factor in the fact that I can't say anything about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak my mind. I can't defend. Like, all right, anything that I felt like was a shade or a dig or like any disrespect that I felt like was done to me or to my man when he passed, I couldn't speak on it. And if anybody knows me, you said it at the beginning of this, y'all like that. Y'all don't have me here on my tongue. You know what I'm saying? Especially for the person that I know that would do that for me. That having to be short again, being this person, and it's close to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do nothing. You want to just, and
Yeah.
again, that's not enough either.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? It's that whole time is about a bunch of restriction, a bunch of waiting and not knowing, and just having faith. I had to put my whole faith in these people that, in my eyes, I never really had to deal with police or any lawyers or anything like that. And here I am,
In court.
having to put all my faith in them. And when I look on the news and when I think on my internet, on my phone, the law ain't always on our side.
Right.
Justice system isn't always on our side. The government is not always here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I can imagine how tough that is in so many different ways, like you mentioned. And we see it sometimes on social media of like typically from like fathers or whoever, like when they see whoever it is that has taken away their son or their daughter or a loved one. Some of them don't have the restraint. Some of them do end up, trying to put their hands on the person that's responsible in the courtroom. And then also, I could also imagine like it's a weird sort of not even a balance per se. I don't know how to word it accordingly, but in my head, it's a weird way of I want some level of closure to know like this person is no longer on the streets, but because it's not enough, it's not really closure because no amount of pain that I can inflict on this person, no amount of whatever it is that could be done is not going to bring the person that I love back. So it's not closure. It's essentially like another step into the rest of my life.
And that is the actual hard part. Because when all of that is finished, it's like a reality show. It's over. I have nothing else to look forward to. They're really gone. It's done. It's
Hmm.
finished. Like, you know what I'm saying? At least when that was going on, it's like, all right, I have a reason to talk about him. I got a reason, you know what I'm saying, to be going hard. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like you said, figuring out what's next.
It's like a shock to the system because that's you're going in with some level of expectation of like this needs to get done so this person is off the street so that they could get reprimanded. But then when it's done, it's kind of like okay, everybody is back to their corners or back to their existence, and it's kind of like but the hole that I still have, the void, is still there. Like, and then for a lot of people, they think or assume, okay, once this person is, locked up or whatever, like I'm gonna be fine. And it's like, no, you're not going to be fine.
That is the
There,
part.
yeah, there's no fine anymore. There's a different version of you, but there's no more fine. So I think a lot of times people are unaware of that, and I mean, it's hard to be aware of that in the first place because nobody ever thinks they're going to go through something like that in the first place. But I think that's probably one of the more common things that people are shocked by of like, okay, we're going through this process. This thing is going to get done. Where the justice system is working in our favor. That's also something that was very important that you mentioned because we know how many times, especially when we're talking about black and brown people, like the police, the government, they really don't care what happens. So for them to actually have that level of determination to do their part in that aspect, you commend them for that. But all of that doesn't equate to, you know, the person that I care for the most is gone forever. And like there will be no like yes, there are gonna be other people, there's gonna be new friends, there's gonna be new members to
It won't be
family, but it won't be that person. So like yeah, you could fill some sort of void, but it's not going to be the same. Um
Yeah, and truly, it's like I truly was robbed of my. I'm not gonna say happily ever after, but I was robbed of my whole future. You know how they have that saying, "Tell God your plans and He's gonna laugh," or something to
mhm.
that extent. That is the absolute truth. That's why, like for me, I talk about this with you all the time. That like, this couldn't have happened to me at a more worse point in my life. He passed away when I was 25, turning 26, and now I'm about to be 28. I wanted to have my kids. You know what I'm trying to say, and like
Right.
I know I'm not gonna get up and have a baby with somebody as soon as I meet them. Like regardless of everybody's like, anything can happen. I know that's not gonna happen.
Hmm.
You know me, and you know what I'm saying.
Right. And then that's a whole conversation with itself that we don't even need to talk about. But like also trying to get in the proper frame of mind just to be around somebody in that sort of like vulnerable state again. So I know that's a lot. I don't know if this is anything that you've ever considered or if you have any thoughts about this, but some of the advocacy and the awareness when it comes to gun violence. And I know. Shout out to Haley, who I'm trying to think. I have no idea what position she is in the government, but she's always been someone who's been a strong advocate in regards to bringing awareness when it comes to gun violence and things of that nature. Because I don't know if she was a victim. She's witnessed more than enough in her lifetime, and is trying to make a very conscious effort so that there are less guns on the street. So I don't know if you participated in anything or you have any
I
thoughts.
haven't yet, but absolutely, since day one, has been like on my brain, 110%.
Maybe,
I
maybe,
literally just finished with everything in December, and it's now May. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still have like a lot of my paperwork and before the court back and forth, but I am looking into doing some stuff.
Okay,
as far
okay.
as
Maybe,
navigating the violence.
yeah, maybe I'll connect y'all too because I know she does a lot of great work in the community. I know, unfortunately, whenever there's like certain shootings across the city, she's one of the first people that's like on there, protesting and things of that nature. But to kind of transition into your next phase of life, I want to talk about like how you are creating a new normal for yourself. I know that was something that you probably was tired of me using that phrase every time we would speak, but at some point
It's the
we,
big brother in you.
I mean, it's the power that I have. I'm sorry, but yeah, like talk about trying to move forward and like discussing some of the process of adjusting your life after such a loss, and then the resolution with the court case, and like trying to find, even though it's not completely 100%, but trying to find some level of closure and like moving forward. So yeah, talk a little bit about that. So yeah, discuss a little bit about trying to find some sense of closure and moving forward. And trying to establish a new normal for yourself.
So I'm not literally there yet. It is progress.
Hmm.
I said progress. Process.
Process and progress. You're making some progress, and
Yeah.
it's part of the process.
But this journey is not linear.
Hmm.
I have really, really high highs, really, really low lows. I could be, I'm sure you be seeing me on the ground when I be going out. I could
Hmm.
be sitting on couches, shaking my ass, living it up. And then I come home and I'm by myself and I realize, fuck, my life sucks. My man is gone. You know, it's like
Hmm.
a reality check. But things that like help me try to keep going and motivate me to keep going on this journey and this process is the kind of person Kiki was. That was somebody that lived his life to the fullest. The full definition of that. And I know that he wants me to live. I know that he wants me to be happy. I know that he wants me like to still be a wife, still be a mother. I knew he would still want all of that from me. He still wants me to be successful. He still wants me to go after everything that I want. So I just have to keep that in mind, every step of the way. A lot of the things that we have planned that we wanted to do together, like flip the house, stuff like that. I for sure want to do stuff like that still in his honor. But like I said, it has its ups and downs. It has its times where it's like, sometimes I might watch something on TikTok or in a movie or something, and it'll just hit home for me, and I'll be in here really like bawling my eyes out. Sometimes I'll hear a song, or better yet, you know your person's interest.
Right.
So like it'll be like perfect example. We definitely talked about this a million times. Avengers,
Hmm.
like so many things that happen. Like my man got me into that, and like that's one thing that I can still watch. That
Hmm.
doesn't bother me to watch with him because he was so invested in teaching me everything that it's like I can't even let that go. But even with that, like sometimes you see something like, oh, this movie coming out or this collaboration, whatever, and you're like, damn, they would love this.
Right.
And it goes back to the whole like, what would they say about are they proud of me or like what I'm saying? It's just like wanting to know their reaction. Like even though in your mind you know, it's not the same as like them actually
Being
reacting
there.
to it,
Right.
obviously. So it's just like gotta keep going forward, gotta stay motivated, and gotta just keep being a good person and just live life. Whatever that means, whatever that normal ends up being in the end, I just gotta do it.
Are there like specific methods that you may use? Like if you find yourself you have a high moment or a low moment, is there anything that you may specifically do to kind of like recenter yourself and like bring you back down to earth?
Oh, definitely. My friends hate me. I don't mean that like literally, but they don't like me because my video do not discover all the time. And sometimes I just go missing. I don't want to talk to nobody, and I just need to be by myself and get in that. All right, you can be good. Like, you know what I'm saying? I talk to my mom, I talk to my therapist, I talk to friends like you, my best friends. You know, I also I also spend a lot of time and speak a lot with Kiki's family, so that brings me comfort. I try to still do things that he likes too,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. That kind of brings me a little bit of comfort. I feel like that's really it. Like, oh, you know something that I do sometimes? I go for rides in my car. My therapist put that in my mind, like, why you don't just get in your car and drive? Like, I've been there like a couple times and like not answer my music. And I try. I can't do the meditating. Oh, I write sometimes, like feelings. I don't do it often, so I definitely like date it and like bulletin a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
when I write in there. But if I do write in there and I talk about whatever's going on at the moment, just to get it off. Like if I don't feel like, because sometimes I want to talk and I want to get all of this out, and then sometimes I just want to be fucking quiet. I don't
Right.
want to talk to anybody. I don't feel like being bothered. I don't want to go out. I don't want to drink. I want to be by myself.
Right. No, but that makes sense because you almost, while these people are like being supportive, you also don't want to feel like people are pitying you or
Yeah,
have pity
no.
on you because it's like, I don't want to just be like, yes, this is a really big and significant thing to happen in my life, but I don't just want to be that person. Like, I'm still a person who
No,
has
and people
thoughts.
just gonna look at you different. Like,
Right.
let me tell you something. I feel like especially people that met me through Kiki, they forget that you're your own like individual. Like they forget like people fuck with me because I'm me, not just because I'm girlfriend. Like you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like and I don't know, just people.
Yeah, people. Yeah,
That's all.
people. Yeah, people aren't that great. But then it's also, it's a tough position to be in, especially if you're not aware of it, and especially if you're not used to anybody else who's lost anybody. It's hard to. I think in general, it's hard for people to assess emotions or know how to operate around others because look, I, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I give great advice. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily probably the best person when it comes to consoling people. I haven't necessarily been around people who've cried around me or have gone through something like in my presence, but that's not usually where I thrive per se. So it could definitely be tough because it's like, yes, in a weird way, it's like I want things to be normal around my friend, but things aren't normal because they've had this significant thing. But you also have to realize like that's not the center of who they are. This is an unfortunate thing that happened in their life, but they still have other interests and other things that make them who they are. So you should kind of focus more on that versus kind of walking on eggshells or things
And
of that nature.
I feel like that's a part of like the reason why I started going out like so heavy because I've been still doing that. I used to go out from like when I was young, like you know what I'm saying. I wasn't even supposed to be in a club and stuff. So I feel like realizing like trying to put myself out there, I realized even more that like we're saying people will treat you different. Period. Plain blank period. Like I feel like certain people that I used to be with outside or whatever, they will not even invite me nowhere. Like if I see them outside, that's one thing. But they won't invite me nowhere. And I know it's because they don't know how to like approach me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because granted, I'm the same person, but I'm definitely a whole completely different person. And I
Right.
get how people would think like that, but how would you know until you try?
Right. Right. Right.
So for
Right.
me, I'm not gonna lie, I be in my listen time still. Like, damn, am I not shaking? Like,
Yeah, but I also feel like there is some form of communication that should happen on your end as well
I
because
feel like, all right, I feel like that's the part of the growth in this process that I'm supposed to seeking is like, I'm giving people more grace as far as like this. All right, here's a good example. I have a friend. Her man passed away. Me and him were really good friends in school. I was there when her man passed away. Like right after he passed, like it took his last breath. I was right there with her
Mm-hmm.
by her hip. My man, the reason why I feel so strongly about this is because my man was the one that told me, like, go be with your friend right now. Like, literally, I left as soon as I found out that happened. I left my house, ran out my house. Of course, she gave me condolences, but she wasn't around me. I
Mm-hmm.
still, to this day, have not seen him since he passed. To this day, back to the point of people living in Yonkers, you can see them. But now that time has passed, I was really angry about it. Really, really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this. I feel like we've talked about that before
Yeah,
too.
I feel like I remember this story. Yeah.
But now that time's passed, I realized like everybody's not mean.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't have the, and this is no shade or this is not a shade, no dig to her, nothing.
Right.
Everybody cannot handle stuff the same way and carry stuff the same way. You know what I'm saying? How could I expect her to do that? And she, like now that I'm thinking about it, all right, I'm still dealing with this school years later. You know what I'm saying? How do I know that that wasn't something triggering?
Right. Like even unintentionally, like your existence can trigger her because you're a reminder of her experience. Even if you don't say anything about what happened, no nothing, but in her subconscious, she knows you went through something similar. So it's like maybe she does want to stay away and she don't even realize what she's doing. It's her trying to protect herself, but she's going about it in a wrong way. Cause yeah, you know, that this is exactly why you have like support groups because not everybody is able to handle emotions in the same way. Sometimes it can be destructive towards themselves, it could be destructive around other people. And sometimes it's hard to find people that can relate. Like we know that common phrase, like a lot of people don't relate to certain things unless they go through it themselves. So if you're not a self-aware person or you don't have things that can put you in certain positions to understand other people's experiences, and I think that's like the big thing. It's very hard for people in general to think outside of themselves. So sometimes it's not that they may have malicious intent, it's I have to think outside of myself and think about what this person is actually going through versus how I may potentially feel at this time. So it's it's all circumstantial. Not everybody deserves grace. Like some people deserve to get cut off based off of their behavior, but then some people it's
There's a
like
lot of people during this time, like family, friends, people that were really close to me, people I seen every damn day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people had to be let go. Even, I'll say that there was like even a few bonds that were like, I won't say broken, because that's a bad word to use when I'm saying that, like, after this has happened and time has passed, that like we come back together and I'm thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? Because life is short and
mhm,
precious. And like we've been saying this whole conversation, we don't know how much time we have, no
right,
matter how old or how young we are. So for me, if I don't gotta live with hate and malice in my heart, and I could just, you know what I'm
right,
saying, I'm through that. And that goes for if anybody that don't like me because of anything that happened,
uh,
okay? Anybody that don't like me or feels like I slighted them in any type of way, or feels the type of way that I cut them off or that I wasn't answering them when my man passed away, I'm sorry if I slighted you. And it's no love lost, but stay right where the fuck you are. Thank you, management.
why are you at the corner with management? I don't even know if I should continue with the other questions I had. um,
That's the way.
um,
That should have been a drop mic moment. That's what
Also, but I'll say this: you've done a phenomenal job because so much of what I have like structured on my screen, you're kind of like flowing into things naturally without me even having to ask certain questions. So, round of applause for you! Round of applause for you! This is, you know,
yeah.
all right. You can relax. Um, I don't. Let me see what angle should I take with this. Not to say that you lost your purpose, but I mean, you could talk about, whether you had to like kind of redefine that. maybe find a new version of that. Some of the you kind of touched upon some of the positive changes and the growth. Like, what's probably the biggest thing that you've recognized that you have developed over these last few years, with just everything that you dealt with, not only just with, unfortunately, with Kiki's passing, but your younger years and some of the things that you experienced there, and then obviously your mother, and I mentioned this before, of like some of her resilience with cancer, and how that's kind of instilled in you with all the resilience you have at this point in your life. Because like I was saying, most 20-year-olds, they just out here living it up, trying to figure out their life, enjoying the pleasantries of their youth. And you've just had like these series of things that have kind of happened one after another. So like, while you've been able to like still enjoy your 20s, there's still like these pillars that's like, wow, I really like went through that. So talk a little bit about not only your resilience, but if you've had to like redefine your kind of purpose like moving forward now.
Well, I don't know how to put it, but basically, I just feel like I'm trying to think of like how to word it. I'm still finding my purpose, but I think the fact that I'm still trying to find my purpose and my new normal,
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest motivation. And again, the fact that I know I have angels watching down on me, rooting for me. But I can't really say. Like, I still feel like it's still super fresh in this process because if
Mm-hmm.
we're being honest, like this all just ended for me in December.
Right.
But the necessary steps are being taken. Like I said, I give myself grace. I give others grace. Like I said, I just try to keep going because at the end of the day, one thing that he always told me, because he lost a lot of his friends too growing up, is time doesn't stop for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so messed up that he's the person that like put that in my head. And him passing, I had to really like feel that. Cause now look, that shit feels like it happened like a week ago. And here we are 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see with that day that happened, you couldn't tell me that I was gonna live past that week. You know what I'm trying to say? Especially I told you I was my best friend had to shower me. Shower me. Literally. I wasn't eating nothing. I told you not, I wouldn't answer the phone from my mother, my father, my grandmother, nobody in my. So it's like, and then another thing too that I feel like helped me. And at first it was like it felt like a dig, like how we were talking earlier about certain things you want to hear from people. I got a lot. You're so strong. But now, like, see, like, especially now that we're having this conversation, I didn't feel like it for a while, but I definitely am starting to see that. I am truly
Right.
because, like you said, a lot of people could have been in my shoes and crumbled. I've had people tell me, even with just the situation with my man, like girls do not be sticking court cases out and whatever. You know how it is in this cold world, especially in the age of social media and all of that and fast money and you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I said, like it's just a motivation to get to that next step is what keeps me going. Knowing that he wants me to make it to the next step. Something that he always used to tell me was I always start stuff and I never finish it. I'll be so head on into something
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go super hard and I'm gonna finish it. I'll just quit. That's it. I feel like that has instilled in me now, like me knowing that was something that he noticed from the outside looking in. That I gotta stick to something. Once I find that something that's really gonna be for me. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I'm in a dental field, I make pretty decent money. It's not hey, oh my God, I live in New York. But you know, I make decent money. I make money than a lot of more, a lot more money than a lot of other people.
Right.
Grateful for that, but you know, I just gotta, like I said, keep pushing and knowing that, like, I didn't even realize how much I motivated people. on the outside looking in.
Mm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Even without saying anything. You know how, like, even right now, this conversation might help somebody
Mm-hmm.
that might be feeling alone or whatever.
Right.
I've had so many people, females, males. I mean, literally just the other day, my friend hit me up and he and him were talking about something. And I had told him about my grandmother. My grandmother also has dementia. You already know about that. And he was like, damn, yeah, like you always got something going on. Like, always. Like, you really so strong, sis. Like, for real. And it's just like, it's crazy to me that something that kind of really pissed me off in the beginning of all of this is something that really keeps me going now.
That makes sense. That makes sense because yes, how it's phrased. Because in like you were saying, when it's said to you at that time, you're at your absolute weakest. Like you don't know how you're going to carry on. The days become longer, the weeks become longer. Time feels like it's never ending because you're just
I lost everything. You know this.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
everybody doesn't know the depths of, like, I lost everything. My man, my apartment, my dog, like, my future.
Hmm.
You know, that's something. Even if I was acting crazy, because like I said, like we both said, everybody reacts to things differently. Even if I acted crazy, who the fuck wouldn't? I just put it in perspective. I just spoke to this person 2 hours ago. Told them I'm on my way home. Love you. Talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day at work. I'm never in a million years thinking that I'm never gonna see them or speak to them again. So even that is just like a, you know,
Yeah. It's a mind fuck. It's an absolute mind fuck, and there's no therapist or
my
anything you could
therapist
read.
tells me all the time, it's never gonna be better. You'll learn how to deal with it better, but you're always gonna feel like basically, essentially, you're gonna always feel the same because of how much it impacted your life.
Yeah, she's spot on. Shout out to the therapist. That sounds like something I would
Shout out
say.
to Stacy.
That sounds like something I would say. Keeping it
Oh,
above.
God.
Okay, so the last thing I have for you, kind of tying into what I asked you previously, and you may not have an answer for that based off of your last response, but you're on the cusp of 30. I know a lot of people, specifically women, they kind of have like certain benchmarks in their life. You know, how does that also play a factor? Because, you know, you're essentially basically had like, you know, a decade of really high highs in your life and like really low lows. But, you know, 30 is a milestone for a lot of people. So, what does that mean for you? Like, I'm assuming there's a level of optimism, there's a level of growth there, but obviously, like, it's still very early. Like, it's still 2 years from that. So, talk about what 30 may mean to you, and as you venture into the next decade for you.
If I'm being honest, I really don't know. But I do know that I definitely, like I said, first of all, I want to get me and my mom and my grandmother out of Yonkers. I don't want to be here.
Hmm.
You know I don't like people. I love the people I love around here, but you know, since you know me as a kid, I don't deal with people like that.
Right.
God forgive me. Love my city though, but I don't care for, like, again, politics or that.
Hmm.
I'll get me and my grandmother out of here because um I don't know if this was obvious with us talking on here, but I live next back with my mom and my grandmother. So I want to get us something nice, you know. And I definitely, like I said, I definitely want to do like the flipping of houses and stuff and become more knowledgeable and, like, you know, that aspect of things or whatever. But as far as everything else, like all the other shit that I'm supposed to have figured out by 30, it is all that. Really not.
Hmm.
I got
Hmm.
a lot of nieces and nephews and God baby.
There you go. And then at the end of the day, there's really no rush. You just take life one day at a time, and then whatever comes your way, you assess it at that time.
I just want to say, And for the people in the back, oh, you're so young, and da 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 da. And blah blah. Granted, I know my man wants to be happy and move on and whatever, whatever. I know this for a fact. We've had conversations, but y'all treat me like I'm a 40-year-old, 50-year-old girl or some shit. Like I'm gonna just talk and fucking die tomorrow. Like I have time. I don't gotta rush to be with nobody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that takes time. I think, especially when you talk about the older generation, about anything that they view, it's like, oh, you got to do things to, move on to the next stage and whatever. It's like, yes, that's correct. But at the same time, I want to walk into something that I know I'm ready for mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, I don't want to do something for the sake of doing it because it just becomes a distraction. It's not something that's actually going to be beneficial for me, or I'm not going to probably, you know, operate the way I want to because I haven't done the kind of work prior. So yeah, ain't no rush for any of that. But that's all the questions I have. Thank you for being so transparent. I didn't expect you to be dropping tears, but I appreciate you. Because as you mentioned, you was on the old show, and we didn't really get to talk as vividly as we did this time because of your mom was there. So I was like, damn, I don't really want to talk about things in detail.
My mom is mad cool. Anybody that knows
Yeah,
her,
shout out to Carla. Shout out to Carla. But it's kind of like weird to be talking about a certain situation and then your mom is there, and then I was still kind of get
feel triggered about it or whatever.
right, and I'll still kind of get used to like interviewing people. Really, like that wasn't really my thing, but so it is. And we've had our bunch of talks offline, so I'm glad we've been able to stay.
You know what I'm glad about? I'm glad that you started this back up because I've been told you. I've been told you.
So as we get to the end of this show, I have a rapid fire section. So, what is one life hack that isn't spoken enough about or is not considered a life hack, but it's a life hack to you?
Hey, start over. I was thinking about something.
See, this is what happens. This is what happens. Like I thought I was big bro, and you just out here acting a fool. So it's a rapid fire section. Answer as best and as quickly as you can. But what is one life hack that isn't spoken enough about or is not really considered a life hack, but it's a life hack to you? And if you need some help, I could tell you what like other people have answered. Yes, but it's not spoken enough about, or it's not really considered a life hack, but it's a life hack to you. One person said minding your business. Another person said adaptability. I forgot what other people said, but
adaptability. I'm gonna have to go with adaptability only because no.
I mean that's fair. In your case, it's fair. It's fair.
No,
it's fair.
No. And I'm not trying to. I'm sorry to whoever I do, but I feel like me personally, that has helped me completely 120% throughout my life. I can be in any room, respectfully. A lot of people can't be in every room. They
True.
Can be with, like, you know what I'm saying, the older white people, the hood people, Spanish people, you know, everybody. Me, I'm welcoming all things. I'm telling you.
So the next question I have here for you. No, I mean when she said it, I was like, damn, that's I think yes, it was Kayla who was on 2 episodes.
Sorry, Kayla.
She was on 2 episodes ago. I was like, that's a really good answer. So shout out to Kayla.
Wait, I got another one. Adaptability and code switching, even though they kind of like the same. Because you gotta when you're adapting, you kind of code switching. But the code switch is what really I'm trying to tell you.
Fair, right. I'm not gonna give no pushback there. I have thoughts, but that's gonna turn into all. I feel like, and I get it because a lot of these spaces are predominantly white. If we're talking about like corporate America or a lot of these institutions, so there is some form of like code switching that you might have to do in order to get in certain positions. Me personally, for people that had the chance to speak to me directly, know how much or they know how I talk about work and how I talk about money and things of that nature. So
we just had this conversation.
Exactly. So with that being said, I don't really code switch because I want to live my truth no matter what space I'm in. But
this is the same Steven don't care.
But at the same time, I do understand that I may fall under the category of like safe black. So it's like I'm probably going to be accepted in certain spaces, or the door may open for me in certain situations because I don't come off a certain way.
Yeah, like even the way you dress and everything, they're not looking at you like, oh my god, look at you.
Right. So, but when if you let me in the door, don't expect me to just like sip the Kool-Aid and be the company man, because I don't play that shit.
Oh, let me tell you something. Steven is definitely not no yes man.
No.
That's what you want out of him.
Yeah, I'm an Aquarius. We're anti everything.
He's the only Aquarius male that I like in life.
Listen, there are exceptions to every rule.
You and my nephew.
There are exceptions to every rule, and I completely understand why I was chosen. So I get it. If you were stuck somewhere, what is one book, TV show, and movie you would need to have with you?
This is so ghetto. You're gonna look at me.
Oh, your answer is ghetto. I thought you said the question was ghetto.
No, the answer is so ghetto.
Okay.
The book, it's not no nothing prohibition. It ain't nothing like a self-help book. It's
Okay.
just ghetto.
Okay.
The Pride of Plane trilogy. It's not even a trilogy. It's like 5 books. But yeah, because that's good. You should read that.
I'm not much of a reader. Not much of a reader, and
I started to reading. I was buying mad books. Have mad books. I don't really read like that. I'm gonna kind of get back into it, but I don't feel like I've been having time for that.
Yeah.
But you make time for what you want to make time for.
Right.
You said a movie and a show?
Yes. TV show and movie.
TV show.
I'm about to start playing the Jeopardy sound. Yeah. The reason why I'm laughing, it's funny that we're doing this on this day. You've been at work already, so you probably haven't barely touched your phone. But the reason why I'm laughing, Kendrick, yes. What are the odds? What are the?
Almost like a EP right?
Yeah, I remembered that, but it didn't register to me. But it can. We
could
talk about.
Wait, what was the concept for that? I've seen a little like excerpt where they put like the title of the name of his song and then they show like
there's been talks for a long period of time of like Drake being some sort of creep because he's always had associations with young women. And then why are you executive producer on this TV show of act? Yeah, I mean they're all adults, but they're portraying. Yeah, like they're portraying high schoolers, and there's like a lot of sex and drugs on this show, so it's kind of like very weird. We ain't forget about you and Millie Bobby Brown, Drake. Yeah. And then did you say a movie? No, you didn't say a movie. So
13 hours. That movie I told you to watch. Even though I've only seen it twice.
You told me to watch something?
This is a long time ago. I told you it's an art movie. We talked about how we don't really like.
I'll give it
I do not like art movies, but literally right before Kiki passed, we went to that movie, and I don't like stuff that's like really too real.
Uh-huh.
That was a good movie. That and can I finish my answer?
No, but go ahead. Go ahead.
13 hours.
You can change your answer. Go ahead. Wait, you didn't have an answer? All right. So moving on. What's one restaurant that everyone should go to, and what is a dish from there that you recommend? You asking the wrong person names. You know I'm not a foodie. You don't want to like. Now this is a bad question. You don't even cook. I know. So what the hell do you eat? So what? Let me just tell y'all this. I know how to cook with a 1 and 2, but I do not do all that extra shit. I don't enjoy cooking. It's not my thing. I love baking though. Baking is fun. You know how to bake? You never told me
I'm
this. You
very good
never
at
baked in. Yo, this friendship is
and I'm
so.
good and I'm good at making like chocolate covered desserts. Ask about me. Ask about me. But as far as that cooking, me working 8, 9 hours or 8 to 12 hours and then coming home and cooking, not happening.
So you don't have a restaurant and a dish that you recommend? Cool. The first
Um,
non-answer on.
okay, here. I ARFID. So it's a new like diagnosis. Like it wasn't out when we were kids. And it's basically like you're like a severe picky eater and like you have like a phobia of eating. And not because you think you're gonna get fat or whatever, but because you think you're gonna get sick from eating like this specific food that you have phobia of. Like I don't like some people have it bad, like they cry and puke and all of that. It's not that. But I am very picky. I'm more now that I'm grown up and had to try things being my greedy man because he made me eat every fucking thing that he ate. But I'm not a foodie. Even when I was a thicker girl when I was younger, I don't know. You know what I like though? Fogo de chao. I love me a good Brazilian steakhouse. That is.
So that's your answer, Brazilian steakhouse. Yay, we got one. I don't even know how to censor yet, and now I gotta
You
find
know
out how I
how to
gotta
get out?
Now I gotta find a way to censor that out. Um,
I'm sorry, that was a natural reaction. My
so then
bad.
you may not even have an answer for this either. Who
Ask,
knows? Because I'm getting into wine. So what's like a wine
oh, I can answer that.
or a drink you suggest? And please do not say. You know what? I'm about to start putting the disclaimer.
What you about to
Please do
say?
not say spicy margarita because I had like.
Oh, please. All right, wine is not my forte.
Okay,
I love
fine.
me a good wine though sometimes. I'm not like not a wine drinker. A Riesling, love me a good light, nice white wine. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm a tequila mommy. I
Okay.
love me some Don Julio Posado. And I actually have a drink that I made. So I started like bartending the summer that and just like, just make some extra money. I only did like parties, like, summer parties and stuff. And I worked at an event. It was called Bikini Bottom and it was in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this drink. It's with reposado tequila, a splash of Red Bull, and a
Okay.
splash of pineapple.
Okay.
Try it. I'm telling you, everybody who I've ever made that drink for, it sounds so simple, but I did that. And now it's like I said, it's named Bikini Bottom.
Okay. Okay. I'll try to give that a shot. I'm trying to watch the liquor intake, so I don't really keep that much liquor in
It's
the
supposed to be
crib.
summer. Don't be a boy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Time out. All I said was I don't really keep liquor in the house like that. I'm more of a wine guy, but if I'm outside,
You outside.
it's outside. There's no rules outside. There's no rules outside. And this is the last thing I have for you. And I'm sure, as much as a music head you are, I'm sure you have answers for these. What's one song that represents your childhood? One song, I gotta switch this up because you're still in your 20s. One song that represents your childhood, one song that represents your 20s, and I guess one song that represents you today or right now in your life.
All right. Only reason I'm gonna say this is because back in the day, remember when people used to burn CDs and stuff?
Yes.
And my uncle used to make me and my cousin CDs all the time. So for my childhood, if I could put a song, it would be "Rock Your Body" by Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
It's so
Support
random,
supporting the
but
whites. Supporting the whites.
yes.
Interesting choice.
Stop. You know Justin. You know that Justin got a little black in them. They got a little chocolate milk in them.
I don't know about all that. What's the next? What's the next song? What's the
Wait,
next?
wait, hold on, pause. You telling me right now that Justin Timberlake ain't invited to the cookout?
Invite nobody to the cookout. I said what I said. I said what I said. I
The
ain't
song
taking
that
it back.
represents my 20. I've been going for a minute. I'm back with the jump ball. Hey, only reason I say that is because I really will still play that. That's like my
Start your day kind of song, like.
it's not a start my day, but that definitely gets the average juice going.
Okay, okay,
Hey, I've
okay.
been going for a minute. Now I'm back.
And what's a song? And what's a song that represents where you're at right now?
I know so many songs. That's why I'm like,
Yeah, but you're doing better because most people get stumped on this. This, funny enough, this was typically like my first question in like the closer, and people would get stuck. So it's like, let me switch this to the end because people be needing time to think.
you know what song? I don't remember the name of the song. It's the Lizzo song. That's what used to be.
I'm
That
not
you make
familiar.
me better.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Lizzo fan. I like that the one album that was going crazy, but I'm not
I'm
familiar
not
with
a big
this.
Lizzo fan either. That's why I said I don't even know the name of the song, but I know that song. Now that I'm starting to be in like a little bit of a better space, like, and you know what I'm saying? I realize, oh, okay,
Hmm.
that you might be better.
Those were all good responses. Those
Wait,
were
I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright. Okay.
still don't know the song.
Alright. It's
Still.
about that time.
Oh, that song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a smash. Yeah, that's a smash. That was playing everywhere. Um, so that's all the questions I have. Or do you have any last thoughts you want to share? Anything, things that you might be working on? Who knows? Anything you want to discuss or let whoever's listening know, or just, you want to thank your big brother for how amazing of an individual he is and the kind of impact he's had on your life. Things of that
You
nature.
are right.
I could shut this whole shit down.
I don't really have anything going on right now. Just a little old dental system right now. We cannot going. But hopefully in the near future I'll be doing some things. I actually really want to get back into making music and stuff. I know I didn't sing it good stuff, but I can't. I'm just gonna be. But what I really want to say and I want to leave people with is just know that you're not alone. No matter how alone you feel, no matter the situation, the position, who you have
Mm-hmm.
around you, who you don't have around you, just know you're never alone. Somebody else is going through what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even have any add-ons. I think that was perfectly well said. I think, yeah, whether it's something small or something major, I think we all can like kind of self isolate or feel like, the world, everything is on my shoulders. And it's like, we all don't have to go through certain things on our own. Like, there are genuine people who care about us, who support us, and want to provide us a shoulder to lean on. So rely on those people when they are present, um, because you don't have to go through this journey of life and the obstacles that you may face all by yourself head on, because it's quite a burden to bear. So you know but I want to thank you for taking the time out. This should have got. Obviously, I got mad love for you. Love you. You're like a little sister to me. It's been a great 10 years. I look forward to how much growth and as you progress. Like, it's still like tripping me out. Like, you were 18 years old when we were saying nonsensical things in the damn group chat, and now you're a whole grown ass woman. I don't even think I had a beard at that time.
I like that one.
I mean, it's a good one. I gotta make sure I take care of it. Balms and oils. It's soft, textured. But yeah, I'm always here for you. Always have. Shout out to Carla too.
I
That's my
appreciate
people.
you. We appreciate you. My mom always asks me,
I mean,
"You
of
would think
course,
you around me?"
there's only one mom that ever hated on me ever, and I don't have any negative thing to say about her. But with that being said, every mom adores me. Oh man, that's our time, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have to wrap this up, and I got shit to do. The playoffs are on. Like, I'm missing the game right now. But no,
Oh damn! I made you late for the playoffs.
I ain't even gonna tell you. You threw my whole week off, but I still love you. I'll text you after this of how my whole week is just upside down
I'm
because it's
sorry.
fine.
I
It's
really
fine. It's
apologize.
totally fine. Like, I'm a grown ass man. Like, get your shit
I'm
together.
the worst. Next time we do this, I gotta be on your time though. Stop making it on me because you put on my time.
Wait,
It ain't possible.
you thought there was a next time? Oh, and that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. You're the best. We'll talk. Deuces.